Hi, everybody. Monday on Astral Oracles. It's good to be with you again. A good evening to you on this Wednesday evening of mine, whenever your time is, because sometimes evenings just feel magical. I've been wanting to come back and do some more videos for a while, but I keep getting held up by reality. But things are coming together. I've just been very busy. So, everybody out there, comments, messages, correspondence, emails. Nothing is forgotten, and I'm looking forward to answering everything in due time. But it's been a little hectic around here, and I'll reveal to you the great secret of the elf. And if that doesn't arrest your attention, then we just have differing opinions on what the really important questions in life they are. Because of course elves are important, even though they keep playing tricks on us. So, for instance, one of the tricks they played on me was last Tuesday, rushing to an appointment in town. I sort of managed to fall or do a twirl on the bike, which planted me nicely on the pavement, but it did make the holy headphones tipple over and water spilled into them. So I've been wanting to do this format because it actually works a lot better for me recording with headphones, having music and pace. This is how I like to work and think on my feet and in movement. Um, but I've been without these headphones until today. And so this is the day when I can reveal to you the great secret of who the elves are. But are we getting there yet? Of course we aren't. Because, say, guys, I am going to change up coffee. I'm also going to change up a bit of my model of how I offer services. And so I'm canceling subscriptions, but I think you can still give donations, and I might post stuff over there, which you'll then, just have access to for a month if you send me €5. So you can download it and have it forever. I assume, like, it's more so you have the option, but it's also, I think, a deep realization of just the kind of mercurial agency at play here in what I do, and which is something that just can't be beholden to anything or pinned down, but likes to sort of engage contractually on a situation to situation basis and meet people anew every time. And the thing about subscriptions is I do both know that probably the people are giving them, and thank you so much to everybody who's given in one way or the other through the years, and to Tony, Carla, Laurie, who are still going strong, supporting me. Thank you so much for your generosity. Um, and what that is I also feel like there's not that decision in it where you go, okay, I'll decide to give something because here there was something that stirred in me that wanted to have that experience. And instead the subscriptions are just that kind of thing on your bank statement. And it's kind of the same for me if I get for instance, some donations, and I'll send my gratitude to Eileen for sending some donations to me, which were occasioned by guided meditations I shared. And that feeling that I produce something, and then there's somebody else in the world who goes, oh, this was somehow valuable to me, and also the poor bum could maybe use the money, so I'll send him I'll send him some. And it is working out because the government is officially taking care of me again. I'm on the dole and a social case until I put things together, and that's actually the first time in my life that I'm just uh, in a kind of permanent arrangement where I know, even if I trip up completely, then, like, this great magnificent welfare state, which has taken care of me and essentially raised me and brought me up right in a lot of ways throughout my life. Like, they will also do that, like, just poor Poor nerd who got caught up in psychedelics and managed to fry his brain. We better put him on a on an early pre-timer's pension, as it's called here. So I'm joking around. I'm doing fairly well, but it is kind of from this absolute. I wouldn't even call it rock bottom. I'd more call it like the searing diamond surface that lures, and that has been almost piercing to land on because a diamond pyramid is also in the cards for the far, far future. But before that, I think we'll have elves among us if they aren't already there. And a part of elven life, because they are, if not eternal, then at least very longevital beings, is also that they have these very complex relationships, but they're also informed by a um, kind of stoic self composure. And this is the relationship that I'm discovering has somehow manifested in my life, what I call the on. Which is this serpentine lineage of your fate, your strand of fate, and they have been describing this to us, the hybrids, this idea that they actually lived more independently, walking the earth or their version of it, and intermingling with people who they needed to exchange and learn from and with. And so it's much more a family of men, an open traveling community where individuals are brought up also safety by the love of the flock. And that's been a kind of stirring and very interesting experience for me because it's been very contrasted with just experiences with my native birth family, um, karmic family, and that like the karmic family versus the destined family is something that's worth considering. I think in your life too. I'd imagine where you are kind of like who are. The people that you are in heart resonance with, and who are the people who are you are kind of uh, in Earth residence with, the people you were kind of stuck with. No, but I mean, the people who were kind of also a part of your unconscious resonance, and why you were brought into that, because that seems to be something that's also been sorting itself out, these vibrational codes or things that are unwrapping in our bodies. And what seems to be happening is also that some of the carbon structures, and you may know that the carbon ring is the basic structure which underpins organic chemistry and the architecture of living things, that is somehow expanding to be able to conduct more energy. And that is a kind of diamond like quality. And in ways I haven't quite figured out, it is activated and triggered by atmospheric water, is what they call it. So you should be drinking water which is uh, condensed fairly recently, and that means that it preferably it's changed shapes. So it might be glacial water, it melt like it's melted, and that's sort of fresh stream water. It can also be fresh spring water, which has come up from the ground, or it can be water which you gathered in a humidifier or equal things. But intuitively, all living things on this planet know that brackish water, still water, is super bad for you. And water which somehow has changed molecular composure seems to be able to activate things. And that's one of several of these kind of alchemical discoveries that they're sharing with me. So that's another thing I'm passing on. As elven wisdom, because who are they the elves? Yes, who exactly who are the elves? I wonder. I wonder very much. And maybe I've been talking about like the autism spectrum or something else, but how about the little people, the gnomes, the ones who are somehow the familiars to the elves and always accompanying them with magic guidance leading them down strange tunnels and places into magic treasures. And I've been finding like these magic, not magic, but magic edible mushrooms, things that I haven't tried out yet, like different types of porcinis and wonderful things. And that's what elves sometimes do if they feel you might be a little down because you lost your magic headphones and you can't make funny videos where you walk around and listen to wonderful string music from Mali in West Africa. Um, so what do you what do you do then? Well, you might sit down and you might engage with some of your favorite art, perhaps. You might like start putting flavors together. You might even start creating things yourself, or you might like start chasing some kind of harmonic state of mind in other ways, and maybe maybe you like dimethyltryptamine or something similar. Um, or maybe you like breathing exercises, or you like the sacred sciences of yoga. You know what all of this is? It's the fractal calling itself home. The secret is that there's only one sacred architecture permeating all of the infinite world systems which we inhabit, and of which we are just inside one complete and wonderful system, which is in correspondence to all the others and yet is its own, because within this perfect architecture there is the possibility for infinite variation. And if you've looked at fractals, and you can do it, you can look up any kind of fractal pattern and look at it, you'll notice that it has these kind of glitches where it seems like it doesn't fit, and then it comes together perfectly in the most satisfying ways. And that's waiting for the drop at your favorite drum and bass concert. That's, your cake just not being big, but then like that moment of perfection. It's that stretchy feeling of, you can't catch that leprechaun, but he's leading you to the gold. That's the sacred architecture of time. That's the experience that we've been going through in the 4D. And now time is flowing both ways. So a lot of the stuff that you've been experiencing back there is occasioned by these experiences, and a lot of these intersectional experiences right now between the world layers are giving rise to them. So if you're kind of asking yourself, as people have, like, what kind of demented child created that wicked world back there with all its differences and place of darkness and light, well, the kid that they left in charge for 1,012 years until um, Daddy is coming home again. Because notice it's been the Holy Mother who was in charge of the Holy Family for 20,000, 2024 years, right? And that's the cult of Mary in the Christian imagery, which we then kind of started abandoning and having a hard time with it in human mass consciousness for the last centuries of that eon. And now we are within this other world systems. And these are the elven codes that are unwrapping themselves, because that's one of the symbolic imprints is this, and you can find it like in Tolkien, of course, but in Elf Quest, and in like that massive type of imaginative proliferation of fantasy, which occurred in the 20th century, and which was a calling into these kind of higher creator type of realities. But you'll also see like a quality of something that's like slightly uh, Batman villain-esque, right? Like that kind of a cartoonish playing with the world, with also a delight in its explosions, right? And I think if you watched any like 5 random Hollywood movies, you've seen more explosions than a person could reasonably need in a lifetime. But maybe that's just me who thinks things can be a little loud when you're an elf, because the leprechauns and the gnomes, guys, they are leading you home. They're leading you home to the perfect, sacred architecture. And that architecture is at the center of all these world systems, and it's constantly proliferating. So what you think of and what we were just in, as you may think of as like hell realms or incomplete realms, they're exactly that. They're like experimental world systems. And what happens is that there is, within this sacred architecture, there's a surplus of energy generated. And it's higher and higher in its imprint, so it emanates from the highest layers and into the lower layers. And from the 5D and down, it's actually emanating into incompletion. So these are seeds that you're planting that like might not be too good seeds, but let's see which one of these world systems will come and which ones we will just have borrowed that slight amount of surplus energy that we have to play around with in growing world systems. Because that's kind of the joy, farmers all the way up, but of course, like the Arcturians think it's a lot more interesting farming, growing sophisticated intelligences that they can interface and communicate with, such as us, rather than growing lambs for the slaughter, proverbially and literally. So there's also like these a lot more multidimensional and more bright themes of growing reality and being able to work with reality. And that also has to do with what we call manifestation. So begin to take the idea that you create your own reality literally, because these are again the three options that you can align with the flow within a world system, and that's love and service, or you can choose entropy, difference, strive for all these things, and that's kind of dropping down into those experimental systems. And then you might turn it around and make it work, but chances are that that's kind of a lost cause, and then you have to fumble back to the light somehow, the eternal part of you, and that might take a long while and be uh, purgatorial, if not hellish. Um, or you can, as the final option, and that's the divine option, you can learn to create your own world system. So the secret is, and that's the secret of incarnation and the avatars, um, that every world system is maintained by at least one body which is completely aligned with it. So there is a divine body within its own world system, at least for the continuity of the physical manifestations of reality, of which we are now in the fifth layer, and there will be two more, sixth and seventh. That will be the reality. There will be bodies maintaining that, and that has to do with that alignment of the symmetry of it. And and I suspect that somehow all human bodies are actually maintaining this. So the one body that's containing it is actually all of us at once. But say the reason I wanted to work with that is I'll rotate, because now I'm going to channel some guys from the hybrid program, and we're going to talk to my Essassani guy Carlo, because those guys have been sharing a lot. So let's rotate down into to the couch. Adults, and if there's any kids watching too, I wanted to say kids, but then that's kind of offensive, but calling you adults kind of sound also slightly offensive in other ways. So let's just stick to humans, shall we? Maybe, possibly hybrids, elves, and if there's a no more troll out there too, a very good evening to you, friends. So we are going to talk to Carlo of the Essassani, and I am not going to listen to music while I channel, because that doesn't work as well. So thank you to Baba Sissoko. And now let's talk to Carlo of the Essassani about these hybridizations and DNA activations and all that other stuff. Much love to you guys. And now here's some water from the dehumidifier. Yes, and a very delightful and happy evening to all of you out there checking in with us, tuning in with us, and joyful. We are overjoyed that we get to connect into this space. We sense there's a build-up of excitement in our friend here, where he has been approaching this situation of being able to bring forward impulses, inspirations, maybe even revelations he's considering, which he enjoys sharing and putting into words. And so, by the way, delightful friends, loved by us unconditionally, I am Carlo of the Essassani, and we are friends. At least we extend our friendship to you. And we were relaying to you that you are also growing things that you enjoy putting into form. You grow wonderful things. Even when you don't notice them, you may notice that has been certain ideas, attractions, projects, and informations rushing into your experience. This level of experience is one that is transmitted from higher mind. Now, one of the greater challenges which many of you have been facing has been the integration of this material into your active existence. The feeling of being overwhelmed by a great deal of these impulses and also feeling like the world wasn't ready for the expression of these impulses. And we would like to relay to you, darling humans, that at this moment you will find that both you and the world is finally ready for this transmission of energy. And so, what you knew as the hybrid program, well, that program was and is to some extent, but it is still related to the reconfiguration of humans. So, it is not as much that we have been borrowing you to go to certain installations in these spaces and interact with some of these frequencies, or we could call them experiments of vibration and merging human energies with higher vibrational fields. But it has also been the return journey which was important, because every time you went back with more energy, more configuration, more of that beautiful high vibrational energy which our friend here is relating as the energy of the elves, that elven energy, that elfin energy, that elf. And he is just now recalling that there was perhaps even, among other sensations at the time of his childhood, there was also a sitcom that he believes he delighted in. He believes it was the darling of a lot of the planet, which had a friendly alien called Alf visiting a family. And so all these things are, strangely enough, coming together, aren't they? So you have been preparing yourselves for this realization that the first contact is upon you and it is already there. And so what so many of you find is the missing component is partially the revelation or appearance of alien technology, but it is also the revelation and appearance of certain alien beings. Well, could we just point out to you that often you just seem to then attribute human qualities to things that you think appear sufficiently human for you to categorize them as such? That is, you find that you rarely actually look at things, but rather you are often reducing them to these boxes of reading or assignment or of indexing, which is not about actually experiencing aliens or experiencing alien technology or experiencing unexpected strange things, but rather it is actually about the opposite. It's about you not expecting those things. And that is why the training for first contact is the training to already see what's around you. And what is already around you is the activation of a great deal of humanity into these higher codes of existence. And you will find that these higher codes of existence will also have certain immunization frequencies to certain influences in the environment which may arise through the coming decades. So you may sense that there is a great deal of changes upon humanity at large, and you are at this point finally ready to step into these impulses that you have been having. And these impulses, we remind you, are of a benevolent character. What we are speaking of are these higher instincts of creation, of nourishment, of sustenance, of compassion, of care, of charm, we would even say, and righteousness. Notice that many of even these qualities, which may seem a bit tainted, well, they're also returning and being set right. So you may sense that all of you are imbued with qualities, and once these qualities are actually fitted into your whole as a set of acceptance, they begin to activate not only themselves but also better parts of the world. And so we take this as our local friend here is the one who's communicating and transmitting the message. We take this art of channeling as exactly something you can see as a type of illustration of these activations. So often the things activated are not more channeling, it's not teaching the same skill or people to duplicate or replicate it, but it is an activation of their natural inclination towards talent. And that might be something that has to do with communicating with vibrational frequencies and friends of all spectrums and agencies and intelligences. But it could also be about you really being great at pedicures and enjoying pedicures and offering pedicures to people. So we are trying to keep this at a very tangible level as something that you can actually, if not grab with your hands, then maybe you can try to step on it with your pedicured feet. That is, we would like to say that the slightest things have great priority, and often great things can be things which are better dealt with slightly by doing slight increments in your adjustments, your attitudes, and even in your belief in your ability to create your own reality. So, we offer you this exercise or this experiment. It is a way that you can activate yourself and open up to further contact with these parts of you which are coming to fruition if you allow them to. So, your activation is dependent on the invitation. And the invitation that we invite you to perform is to extend your hands as such, so with your thumbs protruding and an open fist, open palm, you find this place between your jawline, and then you place your little finger right behind your earlobes, and then you place your thumb right here along your larynx, and then here you are able to interact with vibration in an entirely new and amplified way. And so, the vibrations you choose to make here, we recommend that you begin delicately because these are very powerful to your system, both lower and higher self, physical and non physical. But we will demonstrate.
So our friend here is thanking us for opening and clearing that energy. He senses a type of fog around him has lifted and there's a greater blue light surrounding him. And we encourage all of you to play around with this yourselves if you are so inclined, because we do enjoy sharing these high vibrations with you. And with that, I will extend our unconditional love and blessings. Well, we, the Essassani, and I, Carlo, I personally have enjoyed this interaction, this visit, this talk. Enjoy yourselves. And remember, bliss, excitement, these are feelings of surplus energy, the energy you use to create your own reality. Play well, dear friends. Farewell, dear friends. And that was friend and counterpart Carlo from the Essassani. So I hope that was fun, and have fun playing with the exercise. That was quite powerful. So I'm also a little taken aback by it. Much love to you, everyone out there.